wine all the way going to where he caught, where the John and Peter caught 153 fishes, which in the number 153 in Hebrew tongue is Ben Ha Elohim, which is the sons of God. Yeah, so that catch wasn't just by half a chance. God specifies a numeric value, even in everything. Declares his lordship. Maybe one day we'll go over there too. But anyhow, tonight we're going to finish off where we were at on Sunday. I got a reader. I'm going to see if she would do us the honors to start at verse 1, or I could and you can pick up somewhere around John 5 and 1.
After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem.
Now, I like that. Did you catch that? Every time you read Jerusalem, you always find went up. It was a guy, the Good Samaritan. He went down from Jerusalem, and he fell among some thieves and robbers. I love words like went up. Went up. You know, God just is so specific. I'll leave that alone. Went up to Jerusalem. Verse 2.
Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethesda, having 5 porches.
You know, historically, it's also another name they gave it. Is the pool of the virgin. Yeah, I just thought it was nice. Having 5 porches. On Sunday, we talked about those 5 porches. We're going to get to that in a second as well. Verse 3.
In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the movement of the water.
So you have a dichotomy, a litany of different illnesses and infirmities and things of that sort that are next to something but not quite able to be restored or healed of their condition. Impotent, blind, halt, and withered. You might want to underline it. I admonished everybody on Sunday, waiting for the moving of the water. Verse 4.
For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool.
An angel went down at a certain season into a pool. Into the pool. Go ahead.
And troubled the water. Whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole of whatsoever disease he had.
Whatsoever. Whosoever was healed of whatsoever. Well, the only requirement, they had to be the first to step. Go ahead.
And a certain man was there, which had an infirmity 38 years.
38 years. 38 years. 30 and 8 years. 30 and 8 years. Or 38 years. We're going to talk about that. I didn't tell you Sunday down the line, but you need to. Verse 6.
When Jesus saw him lie and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said unto him, Wilt thou be made whole?
That's the question. That's what he's speaking to us now. Will you be made whole? You've been in that situation too doggone long. Will you be made whole? Will you take the initiative? Remove all the excuses. We're going to talk about it. We're going to beat that up. We're going to beat it up. Verse 7.
The impotent man answered him, Sir, I have no man, when the water is troubled, to put me into the pool.
See, this is the reason why we can't get home. We're waiting on the man. See, I don't know nobody who have the solution for my situation. I'm in a circumstance that no man can get me out of. And yeah, there are some things that medicine can't help us with. There are some things that being connected to certain people can't help you. It's not about who you know. You can't rub shoulders with them. You can't rub noses with them. You can't get the inside track with them. Right? The impotent man said, "Nah, I don't have no man when the water is troubled to put me in the pool."
But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me.
Some of us can probably sympathize with or empathize with that statement. Every time I get ready to do something, going towards my breakthrough, something else shows up. Right? Yeah. Might want to underline that too. Yeah. Boatloads of excuses. Yeah, I'm telling you, that statement that Adam made in the garden is rippled all the way down through history. And the gender has changed, but the blame remains the same. It was that woman. The gender has changed. It's a blame game. And this is what he's doing. Look at what Jesus said.
Jesus said unto him, Rise.
No, go ahead.
Rise, take up thy bed and walk.
He said, I'm not going to get into that cesspool with you, that pity party you trying to bring me into. I don't have to know all your history to get you delivered. That sounds like him too. When you look at Jesus, he was always asking, you could be made whole. He will always try to critique a person to get the right response, which eventually holds you responsible to your answer. If it come out of your lips, you get the victory you need. If it comes out of your heart, the manifestation of whatever you desire will show up.
Hallelujah.
Go ahead.
And immediately the man was made whole, and took up his bed, and walked. On the same day was the Sabbath.
And the same day was the Sabbath, which I was going to talk about, but I'm going to leave that alone. Yeah, they were upset. The religious people was upset at this whole thing here. How you going to get this man to walk on the Sabbath? You know ain't nobody supposed to be doing nothing on the Sabbath, even though the Sabbath wasn't made for, the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. So it's a lot of religious zealots out there that would try to get you to conform to the old order, to the Old Testament, telling you you're supposed to keep the Sabbath holy. We're not trying to keep the Sabbath holy. And especially the Sabbath, the chronological order of the Sabbath, the Gregorian calendar of the Sabbath. We do intend to keep the Sabbath holy, but we understand our Sabbath, we've been taught very well, is when we cease from
Faith,
word, and pleasures. That's Isaiah 58:13. That's how you honor the Sabbath and call it a delight. Amen? So, we see here in this particular situation, we dissected on Sunday, we found out Bethesda means mercy and grace. It also means the house of kindness. It was 5 pillars or porches, I believe, right? 5 porches that connected the pool to the sheep gate. You know, you get what I'm saying? So there's a sheep gate where the sheep would come in to be slaughtered. And I could have went and talked to you guys about that is what God does with us to lead us through that whole process. And for us to experience death to self, for us to experience a sacrificial lifestyle, grace is important. You can't offer your life to God without grace. Works won't do it because it's of the old system. It's a Mosaic law. But thank God in the new covenant we have grace. And not only just grace, we have mercy. Exactly. And therefore, God has got all bases covered. And he won't wink at your sin. Amen. But his mercy will cover it. In the Old Testament, all they could have is the atonement, which is a sign of mercy. And they would have to wait every tabernacle season, the Day of Atonement. And through the whole year, they didn't know if their sin was forgiven until the high priest would go into the most holy place and offer the goat, the blood of the goat. And if he came out, it was a sign that God showed mercy. We don't have, how many know we don't have to do that? Thank God we don't have to slay, fillet, anything. We don't have to raise no barnyard creatures to get God's approval. We don't have to appease God by any external thing. But thank God he's given us a ministry of righteousness and a ministry of grace and a ministration of mercy. But the 5 porches, to me, it also speaks of the 5-fold ministry gifts that God has given to the body. Amen. Amen. So with grace there, the ability to get done what God has called us to do, to be well able, to be sufficient in the calling and the assignment that God has given us, we still have people by the sheep gate, amen, that are still what? The 4. We talked about it on Sunday. You got the who?
Blind.
You got the impotent folk, those who can't produce. You got the impotent folks who just want to sit around. They're feeble and unable to impart life normally. They're living the supernatural naturally. They're living the supernatural naturally. Still earthbound. They haven't understood their inheritance. They are always ever learning, never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. They can attend service after service after service, but still impotent. Mind you, grace is available. Fivefold ministry is there. They can be empowered. Amen. The waters are troubled. You have those seasonal services, those fantastic moments when the waters are troubled, but yet they still cannot become whole. Remember, he asked us, do you want to be made whole? We have impotent people who can't be made whole. Most of us are so enamored with somebody else's experience. You're impotent when you can sit around and you're excited about what God has done through someone else. We mourn with those that mourn. We rejoice with those that rejoice. But I'm talking about sooner or later you got to rise up from your pity party and say, that belongs to me. The fruit in your life is supposed to be in my life. Impotent people don't see it from that perspective. Most of them are blind leading the blind. And remember, we talked about falling in the pit. If you remember, it talks about in 15:15, Matthew 15:15, it talks about the blind leading the blind, and most of us, and it talks about how they fall into a pit, and the pit is having no foundation. Am I here to myself? I am. I'm all in blind. Let me get back to my impotence. Enamored with someone else's experience, living in the past. Most of us, those that are impotent, are always thinking about the good old days. I remember when God first touched me. I ain't had a touch from God in so long. There's no replication. You're impotent when you can't even trace your roots, when you can't even determine when you were born again. Every cycle of time when God chooses to manifest himself to you, you should be able to have it on record. You don't have to know the date, time, but you should know some of the scenery. So you can draw from it, because that's God's report card. Amen? Impotent people don't see it from that standpoint. I believe we're an apostolic church. I believe we have the 5 porches. I believe that the sheep gate, that you have access to go in and go out. I believe it. I believe this house is a house of mercy. I believe that we're not here to judge you. Yeah, there's protocol, there's guidelines, there's expectations.